Sorry to start the stream with a yawn. It's a great way to start a stream. I'm back at it. I had to do a bunch of family stuff. So, where did I leave off? So I got the Chainer critical hit. And so now it's a question of what happens when an enchanter critical hits. This class is going to get complicated. Because I might have to make some adjustments on how the actual cast system works. I'm trying to think of the best way to do this. I haven't tried doing a child component yet. And that would be the best way to implement this. So let's try this. So if I had an input component, create a child, and then did the enchanter. Oh, I can't do that at all because this is not. I wonder if there's a different way I can override this. I might actually be able to override it already. If I go pull out the input. I sort of remember there being a way. Let me look this up. Override an actor component function. Let me think here. So the issue is I currently have the input component, which is where you get all your handles the code for pushing buttons. But it'd be bad for me to implement chainer specific functions into the input graph or input component. And so I'm trying to think of the best way to override this, because as we get more classes in the game, we don't want other classes to run enchanter specific code. Which is why I have overrides in my action combat system, and I can just put an interface in here to extend it and do something else. And in this case, it's increasing the critical hit stuff. feel like there's a way to do something. I suppose I could implement a class for all critical hit modifications, because it might be necessary in the future for all classes to have that. So if the if crit is active, then do something else, and have the option to do so. I can just plug in a different data table for that. Alright, let's do that. And then the enchanter can start critting. Or do I just put the crit elsewhere into... Well, yeah, it's two separate issues. Although adding the crit, this could be kind of interesting. This could get interesting. It gets complicated, but it gets pretty interesting from a player perspective. So I would need in the input component not input, the load component for the player here. I have to load a crit data set. Which that gets very complicated, because if you have a crit data set, so you already have R1, R2, R3 with the potential to have crit R1, crit R2, and crit R3. It's getting into a little bit of a management nightmare, but I do think it makes things interesting enough to warrant it. Okay, so if crit is, so we currently have our, if we come here, we have kit 1, 2, 3. We have kit R1, R2, and R3. And essentially, if crit is active, do crit R1, crit R2, or crit R3. And overall it's simple, it's just the tracking of the abilities which makes it a bit complex. And so you have 3 pet skills, and then you have 3 crit pet skills. But again, it sounds so cool, to be honest, as a very unique feature of that class. And I'm sure we'll use it in other classes too. So where do I load this then? Pardon me. Okay, so we have these. That's just the one stuff. So basically, if we do current action, okay, so this is pretty straightforward. Yeah, we just need all these things kind of set, and then if I go to the action manager, we have all the kits here. Okay. I think that's fine overall. Um, so we come here. Would I include? Maybe I just include the crit table in the main one. Sorry, I'm thinking. Um, how I want to handle this. So I can have the main kits. 1, 2, 3. So I need to think of this in the future a little bit of making sure it's a very modifiable thing in the future. Um, I'm thinking. Hmm. You're running so much, I thought you were going to sleep soon. I know, right? I'm at that lull where like, usually I have my second hit of energy drink right now, but I have none left. I'm a little bit lazy to go make coffee. How you doing, Jistra? Pretty good. How are yourself? Yeah, I'm doing fine. You know, clicking away. So I my goal for next month is 8 abilities for all classes. And so the enchanter, I've renamed this as Animate Steel. I got the enchanter like memory wipe stuff working better. Um, it's supposed to be working better. Almost feels like it's not now. And so we have Animate Steel. And now that it's working properly where it, okay, let's try this again. It's like broken again, maybe. Here. Well, it was working. But yeah, so regardless, enchanter abilities now, like, they actually rotate through properly. The enchanter doesn't have an auto attack. So every time it's more like combo-ish. So every time you cast a spell, it rotates your ruins. And then you can also obviously sit and rotate your ruins as well. And then because you don't have auto attack, the enchanter could never crit. And so I made it so every 5 spell casts, you get a crit now. And so the thing I'm working on now is, how do I implement this kind of enchanter specific thing of because like you can't crit, you can't have like, oh, you summoned a pet that every time they hit they crit, right? That'd be too OP. And so I'm trying to implement, oh, I'm going to critical cast my pet, and so it's going to be a stronger pet, which through my systems just basically means it's an entirely different spell. And so you have your R1, R2, R3 spells, and then it would basically just, it would be an upgraded pet cast is what it would be. So it would, from a code perspective, you're just casting a different spell. And then you set it up to be very similar to the first one, but better. And so, like, on this one, it's a dual wielder, right? And so it's dual wielding rapiers. And then maybe when it's upgraded, it's dueling. They're like, you know, bigger looking. Maybe they're swords. Maybe they're axes. And so there's like a visible difference. Maybe they have a glow. And so, and then the same thing, I want to be able to crit on a stun. And so it'll basically potentially double the duration of the stun. Or crit on a mesmerize and double the duration of the mes, you know, to give yourself a lot of options. And so I renamed, I wanted to do some balancing around the pets too, like their health is like, I nerfed their health a bunch. I gave the two-handed pet an interrupt now as well. So you see he'll actually do a stun here. He's like whacks once and then boom, stuns, so he actually has an interrupt. Hits slower, and I nerfed his damage a little bit. And then, yeah, no auto attack range, but you have your pet, right? The idea is that the enchanter auto attack is the pet. And so it'd be a little bit OP, to be honest, if like the enchanter had the pet plus the auto attack, right? So that's and it's like, it's also like a lot of thematics there, right? Because you're an enchanter, you're animating steel to go fight for you, you know, so there's a lot of thematics going on with that. And then that goes back into the next two abilities I added was enchant weapons and enchant armor. And so those are going to be how you, at least one variant of like offensive, defensive options of you enchanting your allies or you or your pet to have different effects. And they're going to be short duration buffs, like probably 1 to, 5 minute buffs. And it's going to give different procs, different types of procs. And so the enchant armor is going to do like reverse procs, or like give you when you get hit, maybe something happens. So, and how I'm thinking about those, so like I got the base stuff in, but I have to implement a kind of a new system because I want, when I buff, if I buffed, an ally, as the enchanter, I want to see the damage go off that the ally is doing with my proc. And then the ally, I also kind of want to see, potentially, like this is like it's a UX thing, UI UX thing, where I think support classes in MMOs have been kind of like, have had terrible UX, and a lot more of them would be fun, like a lot more fun to play if you actually got to see your effects going off. And if I give something a proc buff, I want to see I should be the core person that sees the proc doing damage, because then I can see how much damage is going off and be like, oh wow, I love rogues in my group because they proc more or whatever, it would be cool if water armor protect against freezing. Yeah, who knows like what's going to be, because of my rotation system, right? There's going to be 3 different enchant weapons and 3 different enchant armors, and that's just the start, right? That's just your base kit. You're going to be able to find new abilities, get new ones, augment through equipment and stuff. And so I'm trying to kind of feel that out a little bit. I've also fixed some of the mana costs of things. As you kind of saw, like I never ran out of mana. I did log in and see you the other day. I think it was like 2 days ago, and you logged in, went AFK. I was like, oh, do you need help? But you went AFK, and then I had to take off after like 10 or 15 minutes of sitting beside you. But yeah, there could be a lot of options. The obvious one is damage proc. Was what we're gonna start with. I'm trying to think of things that don't get too OP. Like you could have enchant people with a chance to stun targets, a low chance to stun. And it could be like just interesting effects like that, or like a chance to snare targets, or something that's a derivative of the enchanter class is. You're so happy when you learned how to do a fire by yourself, yeah. It was so OP. It was giving the wrong healing buff, so it was like ridiculously OP. It would like heal you to full every time, every 5 seconds or something. It would basically give you a sucrose tree buff every 5 seconds, when it was supposed to do like one tick of it every 6 seconds or something. Yeah, exactly. I was like, what is going on with this healing buff? And then I realized, oh, okay, the fire disappeared, and so the campfire is giving the wrong buff, and that makes it even more confusing because there's like a buff debuff ish bug that sometimes things don't show. That's another on my agenda to fix this time around too, and hopefully I'll have the time to fix my cloud. I want to cloud save buffs. You know how you have the thing on the ground with the symbol for teleport? Yes. Little stone ruin thing. I have a small one for the town campfires because I didn't know if the fire was working. So I think that's mostly just because of the buff problems I have. It probably stopped showing up on your buff bar, and that was one of the reasons why it was confusing if it was working or not. Yeah, the buff bar is in the bottom right here. So if I target myself, it's this right here. And so there's an issue where when things are falling off, the UI part doesn't get cleared properly, and then they don't show up again. It's purely UI related, like you actually get the effects, but it doesn't show up again for whatever reason. And it doesn't get refreshed and stuff. So if I hit it again, it's supposed to refresh like it did there. But there's issues where things are not. Like sometimes if you die, your buffs are supposed to get cleared, but they're not being cleared, and then just when they fall off naturally, there's issues with them not clearing, and so the campfire one is like a 5-second duration. So when that falls off, it's not falling off properly, and then you don't get to see it again. Yeah, so I think it's just a bug issue that you couldn't tell if it was working or not. All right. This is input. I don't think I need to do it at input. Is the crit here? No. So crit is purely on the stat component, I believe. Crit. Crit is active count. Okay, so. And then there should be an interface. Okay, I need a new crit. I need a new. Alright, I need to get crit. F14. Alright, so active there. Excuse me. And then in my, get rid of these, action component, to defaults. And I'm also planning on, like, thinking about my UI a little bit. So I would have to do some sort of ability inspection tool. This is getting into ARPG stuff. But it'd be like, let me just think this out. So you inspect your ability. You have like this here, this here, this here. So like R1, R2, R3. And then the enchanter, it could be enchanter only, maybe not. It might be for everyone. We'll also have the crit thing, the crit like gem socket for an ability. Crit. Crit. So we have these slots. This is what would one button would look like. 5 rotations give you a crit on the enchanter. So just like it's 5 auto attacks for a normal class, and it's 5 rotations for a enchanter. And so I feel like I'm going to do some sort of like socket system where you drag skills into place, into these sockets. And then, but these are going to be somewhat linked to, whatever that skill is, right? So you can't just put any crit gem in there. It would have to be classified as, or maybe I simplify it from design perspective. It's probably the best way, but it'd also be cool to be able to swap these out. So you could find, so on like the two-handed pet, you could eventually find crit ruins that would almost be like equipping a different sword to it in a way. And so you could have numerous different crit two-handed weapons options. Yeah, I'm glad that it reads that way. And I have that's again, I'm doubling down on the combat system this patch round, along with little tiny bugs and stuff and polish. But I started to get into this with the warrior. It's like I'll show you the warrior a little bit more. Let me swap my class. So the warrior now has different abilities for all of these 3 buttons here. And so, you know, heavy attack 1 is just like a little snare. And then, obviously, his auto attacks are rotating. Heavy attack 2 is a stun. And so we got different animations going now for each one. And so it's, the system's like really coming through now. And then on heavy attack 3, the jump attack. And so now, you know, R1 for shield power is an interrupt. And then I think R2 is an AoE threat. And then R3, I think, is a damage reduction. So I took away the damage reduction from the Enrage, and I added it to R3 of Shield Bash type thing. And then we have a double attack is now Q. On the first one is now just a extra threat attack for Q1. And then, I'm going to die here, but Q2 is like a dot, a bleed. And then through Q3 is the final double attack type thing. And so each of them now, each, you know, R1, R2, R3 all have their own animations on the warrior. And then I also upgraded the pull animation a little bit. And I'm a little bit torn on how I should handle the spells like the pull and the buff, like buffs. Should I actually I could simplify your kit to 4 buttons at the bottom that are your abilities with rotations, like R1, R2, R3. And then the buttons at the top, 1 through 4, are utility, which do not have R1, R2, R3. And so that sort of simplifies it on my part. But I sort of still like the fact that you have 8 buttons and potentially 24 abilities on your kit. It makes you think, right? It's like I want there to be that game knowledge point of skill depth. So, and then how do I handle buffs, right? Like, so in every quest you would say, okay, everyone buff up, you know, don't hold pulls. Everyone gets buffs, and then you would typically unmem those spells. And then you would put in like normal combat spells, right? You wouldn't keep those buff spells on your ability bar. You would buff everyone up. It would last an hour or 2, and then late game you'd have all these items and stuff that increase duration of buffs. So you'd buff like once for like 6 to 10 hours, you know. Yeah, I think the timing mechanics for skills is growing on me. I like the idea of more chances to make mistakes and be less efficient. Yeah, and I've doubled down on that too. I think I fixed all the warrior stuff, or the stamina abilities weren't using stamina properly. And so this time around, though, I'm going to make R1s better because they're supposed to be the most efficient. And unless you get a crit, it's like that crits change everything, right? But whatever it's mana efficient versus time efficient. So whatever R3 does, it should be time efficient, but it should not be mana efficient. So like, your R1 should do like 50 damage but cost like, 5 mana, but R3 might do 200 damage, but cost 20 mana. And then you're getting there's the mana efficiency there. And then crits obviously make R3s efficient at that point, usually. That heal R1 is what kills me every time because it takes so much. It takes too much mana. Yeah. I think it's the AoE one, right? AoE heal maybe. But yeah, it's exactly that. It's like you're getting your oh shit buttons in there. There's the times where you're going to be wanting to be time efficient and like the oh shit moments, or certain parts of a boss fights and stuff. Yeah, the overtime heal. Yeah. And yeah, I'm going to switch that too. I want the heal overtimes are typically always seen as like more mana efficient, and so I'm going to switch R1 to heal overtime, and then do the math calculations to make sure it's all present and stuff. And then again, like, there's always a chance I just remove heal overtime a little bit from the cleric because it might not thematically be there. I might want to have a different class as one that does heal overtimes, and the cleric is the one that does more cast-based healing. Yeah, reduce the time, the tick in between heals. Yeah. Like in WoW, they had like the priest, right? Which were known for their big heals and complete heals and stuff. Like they would literally have a spell that was like a 10-second casting time, but it would fully heal you, no matter if you're missing, 500 health or 15,000 health. It would fully heal you. And then that was EverQuest, and then clerics were like the prime healers for most of the game, and then later shamans and druids got buffed to be able to do similar things. But shamans and druids were the ones that were mainly like heal over time classes. And then you kind of like saw that a little bit in WoW, where priests were like the bigger healer classes, and then druids were heal over time based. So thematically they're there, but we're probably going to have several healers overall. And thematically they're going to be a little bit different. So I think the heal over time is fine. At least for now it's fine, obviously. Trying to just future think of how classes will differentiate from each other. Maybe reduce the tick in between. I think that came out wrong. Yeah, no, I get you. I get what you mean. I don't know. That's for musician class. Yeah. All right, back to the channel. Let me put my class back. Okay, so back to crit. So yeah, I think I just need to rig this up the exact same way I have these. And then load in crit. The enchanter already has an attack speed buff. I literally, the enchanter, you probably didn't notice it on you, but the enchanter has a haste buff. And this one's for auto attacks. And so obviously it's useless on Enchanter, but you may have seen me do like this, where I summon my pet, and then I do that on it. You may have seen that happen a bunch. And that was me buffing its attack speed. And I have separate stats just through vertical third of auto attack speed and cast speed, as in, you know, spell casting. Yeah, switching ruins. It'll be something for sure to think about. Normally, attack speeds bonuses and stuff are capped at some point. And so, yeah, we'll see. If you have all 3 ruins, what about being able to choose which one? For what? Like, if you have all 3 ruins, you can choose which one you cast or something? What? The problem if that's the problem there, anytime you have a combat system that's a 2-button press, it feels god awful. It's always clunky. Even if it's just a stupid ground area effect target, it just feels bad. Like that's like the best you can get away with. But the thing I reference is New World. And in New World, you'd have to push a button to swap your weapons, and then push a button to use the attack. And that felt god awful to me all the time. I also could reference like any type of gacha game, like Genshin Impact. Having to push a button to swap a character, then push buttons. It just feels clunky and terrible. And so New World would have been amazing if they just gave you, I think it's 3 buttons each weapon, and then you can just push any button and it'll just bring out that weapon. It would have been so much better if that was the case. And potentially even Genshin. If you just like every character, I think you have 3 characters or whatever, up to 4, I guess. But if you just had a ability bar with 8 buttons instead of having to swap characters and then push those buttons differently, the flow would just feel so much better. And but yeah, it's that cuts into the thing. Like if you are a class that hits fast, like say the rogue, right? There could be some any dual wielding class could get into the area of it could get into the kind of more custom rotations type stuff. No, it's always good to just randomly talk about these things. Okay, so if you already know which one you want to use, maybe a pre-selection. It's all about timing. Again, that goes into like preparing yourself in the future for that thing. There's going to be other factors that help you decide when that is. And there's going to be moments where it might just be in your best interest to stop attacking, because that's going to be the appropriate time to stop attacking to use your best ability. That's going to happen in 2 seconds or 3 seconds, you know. I want people to not feel afraid to stop attacking or attack with not pushing buttons, to reposition these things. Yeah, and that's like, that goes to player skill though, right? And so that's just part of the player skill of it, not missing your rotations, thinking about them properly, and planning. You're not gonna, if you plan properly and you're thinking ahead 10 seconds, then you're gonna be in the right moment, the right time to do your things. that's also going to be potentially around like theory crafting abilities and builds. Like, can I if you have a stun as your slot 1 for E, right? Can you make your mez as an R2 on stun, or is this locked into stun and you can only have stun follow along effects? So it's going to get weird on how. I think after this month, so I'm trying to get all these classes their abilities, especially with like trying to get different animations put into them too, because R1s are also supposed to be fast, R2s are medium speed, and the R3s are slow, right? So, having the feeling of the different cast times is important as part of the combat system, but yeah, so tomorrow, next month is May. So June, I might actually think about an actual like talent progression system, or ability system, where you can actually like you would open, like I said over at the paint thing, you'd open up your kind of row of abilities or something, like this or whatever, and then you like click this and it would open up this whole thing on how to customize all your stuff, and then you'd collect these ruins, sockets, gems, whatever you want to talk about, and implement them in. Yeah, we're really trying to. Again, it's like I really want that. I really want people to come to this game and have a sense of polish. And then this type of combat system, if it's just the same animation with no speed differences, you don't really feel that the system itself, right? It just feels like it's the same button you're pushing every time, and then R3 is just always better. And so I really want that gameplay feeling of each time you have a different button push, depending on the R1, R2, R3, you notice it through gameplay feel, you notice through visually, and then you can see what it does to the monster as well, and how it affects it. That type of thing. So, okay. I don't think I need this. So I need to get the owner, get stat component, and then get crit state. And then we branch from here. And if it's true, false, we go here. Being able to read what someone has doing without seeing the skill will come in handy. Yeah, exactly. I have to that's the whole thing. I had an advanced tooltip feature within Vertical Third, but it's just totally not applicable to Ruins of Tearyn right now because of all the changes I've done. And so, literally just copy this entire thing up here. And then as a temporary solution, a new variable, critical hit abilities, I guess enabled. This way I don't fuck up every other class's flow. So if I have a crit, this has to be enabled to go here. If not, we go back down to normal. And then on the enchanter, we just enable crit abilities. Despise pins. What? Reroute pins? Or just blueprint code in general? All right. And so now, actions default. Kit 01, kit 02. Oh, the reroute pins because it goes sloppy and leave notes. That didn't work everywhere. Yeah. The one thing I've done before is something like I think it was like I make sure I never. I've made this mistake once. Never did it again. But it was something like it was reroute pin like this, connected like this, and I did this or something. It was like overlapping like that. So it looked like it was connected the whole time, but it wasn't. Something like that. And I think they changed it so like it didn't have this black hole there. Um, and so it just looked white. And so it was not connected to anything. Yet it looked like it was. Um, that was a bummer. That took some time to. And so sometimes I'm like, I shake the one little node around. I'm like, is this connected? Okay, so kit. I'll make a new category. Um, the thing is that these templates come with a lot. Yeah, dude, my like vertical third is freaking massive. Um, like dear God, the amount of like documentation work I have. Like I did, 4 or 5 hours of video documentation for vertical third. But I never got around to doing written documentation because it's kind of time consuming. Um, and I got to the point where just working on vertical third just wasn't financially applicable to keep doing it, at least for now. Okay, kit. This is default, so we'll change this to critical hit. We'll just say 0, 0. And then 0, 1. And like I have like a million plans for vertical third, right? Um, and hopefully I get it, properly funded one day and get like an actual team working on it. Okay, so we have all these. And then if I open one of these up, it does all this junk, and then it's got the kit 01. We don't need to do that, and equipped 01. Okay. So we need, which that's not even loaded there, kit 01. And then equipped 01. This is like the kind of shitty part is I kind of love the system itself, while at the same time it's a bit of a data file management nightmare. But the system at its I do generally like the system of like modifying your critical hit abilities is kind of cool. Even if it is just for the enchanter. Alright, so now I need the macros. Alright, so let's delete the junk in this. We don't need to remove from action list. I'm going to delete these two. Just make sure this goes here, this goes here. And then this is not needed, and this is not needed. A little bit of cleanup. And that was 02. Zero, zero. Okay, so critical action kit, critical hit 0, 0, 0. And then equipped 0, 0. And alright, critical hit 0, 0. Critical hit 0, 0. I think I can even simplify this a little bit. Just do that. Less room for my own error. And then let's just delete these and re-duplicate that to 1. Critical hit. finally 0, 2, 0, 2. Okay. Then we go to the event graph. I'm working with data tables, and it's been fairly painless so far. Yeah, I live and breathe data tables. I love them. I love them with a passion. You know, like if I just go to my database here, right? Data table. I have 1,400 data tables. That's like, Ruins of Tearyn to a nutshell. Recipes, items, monster abilities, stat changes, um, loot, weapons. 14, and that's just even in vertical third. What comes with vertical third um, is 1,600 loot tables or data tables, I should say. Uh, my gear has random stats, so it was a bit difficult converting item to string to save and restoring. Yeah. Um, my thoughts on that was I thought about it a lot because I've gotten that question a bunch of times for action RPG type stuff. My initial thought is to um, basically you get into like RNG stuff, right? But you have or procedural generation stuff, and so you try and tie you tie a seed to each RNG, and then um, you can kind of just, if you're saving data, you just say, okay, I'm saving this item with XYZ seeds, and so um, it'll then your code can basically apply the right stats in the game instead of saving the results. That's my thought. That's my take on it. I haven't implemented it all, but my code again is my code is I have my it's like just separating your code. It's like kind of like that. That's one of the solid principles, I think. I mean, it might not be solid principle, but you separate your data from your code, and so all my code is in the like the core blueprints, all my actor component blueprints, and then the master player character and stuff. But then it reads from data table files. Um, and so, like if I pull up like the enchanter, right? So let's go for what? I'll just do a pet, whatever, right? I have all like the data table for an ability is like the instructions to the action combat system. And so I have just standard setup stuff, and I've like implemented more things based on Ruins of Tearyn. How many chain limits there are, because my combat system can chain abilities to the infinite if you want it to. If whether telegraphs are enabled, I try to really segment and categorize like an entire like game's abilities, right? And so telegraphs, I enable them or not. Channeled abilities, if it's channeled or not, and that's obviously you push a button, and instead of it casting from like left to right, it's right to left or whatever it is, and you're casting abilities while it's casting. You set your cooldown stuff. If it changes movement speed, if movement cancels the cast, your input, if it requires a button hold down, or input lock, which is like animation lock type stuff, and so you can't move while the ability is moving. Targeting, the range, the ground limitations. This is like I have a if you're selecting if you think about like selecting a ground for an AoE, I have the ability to like point it in the air as well. And then required targets. This is like tab target stuff if you actually need a target for the thing or if you don't. Positional requirements, facing the target requires line of sight, position against the target, backstab stuff, front, behind, left, right side, either side type things. Custom code is where I can like, cancel out, either extend my current system with custom code or completely override what gets spawned, but still take advantage of the entire system I've created. Triggered abilities are like you get a dodge, and then that activates the ability to be able to use it. Combos are exactly what they say. You pressing a standard combo of like you hit three times and they do different things, or you push your button 3 times, it does different things. Camera changes, user interface, implement all the interface stuff, tooltips, name these things. Target helper is just like your ground selection tool. You can change the look of it based on the ability. Appearance, so this gets into casting time. Yeah, it's several structures. Each category here is this different structure. And then there's like a master structure that holds them all type thing. Appearance is like the animation stuff. Decals, if they wanted to casting decal on the ground. Cast time, camera shake stuff. I have a lot of places for camera shake for game feel. So you can have camera shake on the start of the cast, on the end of the cast, when you hit a target, when you cast stuff, and then get into resources if it uses resources, and then if it gives resource for like the spender generator spender combo, and then stat changes. In Ruins of Tearyn, in default on a vertical third, this is actually just another. I had this struct implemented in here, but in Ruins of Tearyn, I just made it a data table to like help with reusability. And then you get into the actual. So that's all just like the setup of the ability, right? And then you get the actual ability, and that's when you get into like what type of ability is it. And I've dumbed things down like lowest common denominator stuff of direct target, projectile, beam, cone, mobility, AoE, actor spawn. That covers pretty much the vast majority of abilities until you get started to custom stuff. But then you have like your hitbox, the appearance, the VFX, the audio, the telegraph settings, the lifetime, the targeting, location, rotation, and then you get into action specific stuff. If you change any of those, do you have to go through and refresh all those blueprints? So again, I mentioned it before. The way I change stuff is I go into I restart my whole editor, making sure it opens in like a empty level. Then I go in and change the struct, hit save, close everything out, and then reopen. And I don't have to do that. Like I can show you like right now. Something simple. Do I have anything planned to do? Yeah. Because I have that issue too where you modify some sort of struct and, if you remember, like Unreal has some sort of issue where it tries to take every data table in memory and fix them, like live, so to speak. And it just crashes as a result of it. And so if you make sure you clear clear the memory of all the data tables that have been loaded, so it doesn't try to do all that, it avoids that problem. I still have issues. Yeah, I still have issues sometimes that when I go and package the game, that error still kind of screws me over a little bit, and then I have to go refresh them. but usually it's only like when I have to go package the game, which obviously right now is, you know, once every month or something like that. Sometimes before like this year, it was every couple months. But yeah, I know, right? Uh, um, it definitely sucks when like I still get that issue occasionally, but like I said, it's usually when packaging. All right, so I have all of these set up. They're loaded, and then I think I have one other thing. Get action current. This seems weird that's doing that. What was the thing? Um, Data tables. But yeah, it's one of those things that like I have so many different types of data tables, right? That I'm going to like on my agenda for vertical third um, is to create my own like search database for data tables to make it easier to search them all. Um, and like to be able to like instead of just having data table, I could search by um, struct type or something like that um, to further narrow things down. So I'd have like tabs. You can do it through what's it called? It's like other utility widgets. Like this is one I just made for like enabling and disabling spawner timers. Um, and so like I'm not sure if you've done editor utility widgets at all, but um, they look like this. Um, so it's just like a UI thing, but you get to access to a whole bunch of editor tools and code and stuff. And so it could be done through here. Yeah, I think I would mostly do it through here. There's also scriptable tools you can enable as well. This is what we use for our foliage and things. But these are more for like this is like our level designer tools, and like you just click this, and you can see like it automatically detects the ground. I can scroll to rate increase the size. I can shift scroll to rotate and then place. So it's a lot easier to do level design and like that type of stuff with those type of tools. And then this one I've constantly had to like enable and disable um, AI spawners because trying to run a multiplayer simulated world with 300 AIs walking around kind of crashes. It makes your engine run like hell. So I made something that's basically so see like you see there, it selected all my AI spawners and disabled them. And so it's just a quick way to do those type of things. Let me tell you widget I've used in the sprite sheet maker. Yeah. The scriptable tools it was new in this engine version, or like more official in this engine version, the 5.5. Um, and that's the literal reason why I came to this engine was for that feature, to make it easier for gameDEVbeauty to do what she does. And because not only is it like placing those things, but it's using like my predefined AI spawner and stuff, and then it's setting the right data table to that spawner. So now I don't have to like take an AI spawner, put it in the world, find the data table, put the data table on it, you know. there's all these custom settings that you can set up with loot spawners. Because my loot is also data table, right? So I have a bunch of settings here that can be predefined in the tool to whatever I want, and then I just place it in the world with the right settings. Instead of, so you're cutting out steps to, find and look for data tables and set them up properly. And instead, you push a button, place it, type thing. All right, don't need these up. This guy is equip. I don't need that. Don't need that. Don't need that. Don't need that. Why can't I find what I'm looking for? Okay, get current data table. Is this being used? Get data tables. Yeah, like choosing what rune you want. Yeah, no. Tools are life. All right, so it is used. Oh, I do need to fix these. So let's fix these first. Okay, so crit. Crit. I think that's right. Oh, wait. Da, 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 da. Okay, we only need the equipped versions. Oh. Okay. Hopefully that all works. And then I need for the crit. So for now, excuse me, I'm gonna sneeze. So let's just give this a quick test. So what we're going to do for the enchanter, this is gonna get so weird. New folder, rotation, set 1 critical hit. Choo. Okay, kit. Copy that here. Copy here and copy here. All right. Just plug these in for now. I suppose let's just get. I need to probably do this. Kit. Copy. Go to. Paste. Kit 3. Copy. Wait. All right. Now, let's do the test. So, let's just cast a bunch of pets. Enchanter pet set 1. Copy here. Oh, I did not want to move it. God damn it. Let me check in and redo this. Unreal and their stupid stuff. Okay. This needs to be, this is kit pet set 1. Check out. Move you back here. And then we I'm gonna copy here. Rename this to 2.
right to like just double their size to see if it's working. All right, let's see. So I should be able to Q, R, E, Q, Q. Big pet. He does not look big. Oh, I don't. Oh, okay. I didn't set these. Pet 01 crit. What? Oh, did I not need them crit? I did not need them crit. Okay. Critical hit. All right, now we open the kits. And apply these. All right, and a 1, and a 2, and a 3, and a 4, and a 5, and a big pet. Big pet. He's a critical cast. He's a beast. And still didn't use the. It didn't use it up. I guess I just didn't change the pet. Oh, right. Enchanter, rotation 2. Pet, let's copy that. Onto. Paste. I gotta change this again. And then. Enchanter pet 3. Oops, this is the wrong one. That's not what I wanted to do. Copy that. And paste. I generally feel like it's a pain in the ass to set up, and there's a lot of data table management along with it, but I've never really heard of like critting on a pet cast. And so I think it does provide something kind of unique. Big pet. Big swords. Dual wielder beast. And now big sword shield. And now big two-hander. The big two-hander. Boosh. Boosh. All right. Well, the basics is there. And so the one thing I need to do is make sure that when the enchanter does get crit, it removes it on cast. Let me think on how to do this for the enchanter only. I'm just gonna have to do an option, I think, because this is going to be eventually used by all classes, I believe. Close all that. Override. Yeah, I think I just do that. Let's do it. So, going back to what you said before, here's your example if you need one. Save all. It's going to do another update resources. Check those out. Delete those. Save all. Submit. Oh, why the hell are these triggering? I do not want all that. I do not want to check in Paragon stuff. Where is everything else? Okay, I want to do all that. Paragon stuff I do not need to submit. Close. Alright, so like I said, close the engine. I'd always make sure to, save, submit your stuff to code or to Perforce at the start of this, because you never know what can go wrong. Just my safety precautions. Now I'm going to my action system, which here's my structures, right? So like I said, tons of mini structures. Then you have bigger structures and bigger structures. I'm going to modify the setup, and I'm going to add resets critical hit. Let's do like critical hit reset. It's a bool. Always make sure to set your whatever you want your defaults to be. I hit save. I only save this struct. Okay. The one I've changed. I hit close. I hit close. I say no to all this. Even though I didn't open any of this, I say no to it all. And then I reopen it and it's all good to go. Level. Yeah, exactly. You've closed the editor. This is so like I'm not sure if I still can't remember if you're doing multiplayer or not, but in multiplayer you always have a transition level. It's something to do with like a temporary level to load into while the other one loads. So first you go into the transition level, and then it starts loading the other one, and you go into that level. And so I just set when my editor boots up, in my project settings, I just have the the editor startup as the transition level, you know. Um, and so nothing's referenced or loaded and all that stuff. And so now I can go into, first up, the input component. And then right after action start server, success server. So right after we spawn the ability right here, I'm going to pull out critical right here. That's it. It's already here. Branch. Burp. If it's false, we just do normal things. If it's true, get owner, get component statistics, and then I need to do a reset. I think I need to reset critical hit. Maybe just critical hit off. Okay, crit off. Go back down to here. Bam. Yep, no broken blueprints. Oh shit, I might have just... Did I just trigger... I may have just triggered my first loading bug. I might be able to reproduce that. Okay. Q. E. R. Q. Crit. Oh, of course. I forgot to set the actual data table. Enchanter. So all of these need to now. So now that check mark is right here. And so on all of the critical hit spells, it will reset crit. It didn't work. God damn it. I'll be right back. 1 second. What's going on here? Why didn't you do it right? Critical hit reset. Component stat. Crit off. Let's breakpoint. Okay, we're not getting there. That's irrelevant. Critical hit reset. Oh, it's action current. Oh, that's why. Okay, so okay. That is not what we want then. Humna. That might cause complications. Action spawn. I might have to put it in here. So let's just try this. Get data table row. I'm just going to do a sequence here. New row. Data. Break. And then we go back to success server. We skip this part. And then if this is true, we do this. Hey, there we go. Crit's been used. And it's only enabled on the actual critical hit spells. Fair enough. I'll reorganize this another time. Okay. So, we have the critical hits set up. So, Now it's just about making abilities for critical hits. And I can literally do pretty much copy all of these and then just change out the, at least to start with. We're going to take memory wipe, sleep, stun. Copy those here. Memory wipe, sleep, stun. Copy here. And this might be I might end up switching up the system later on. But for now, I like the freedom of completely replacing ability with something else instead of just having some sort of crit modifier on the duration type thing. This gives me a lot more kind of freedom of expression to go anywhere I want. And so all of these are about the same, but I just need the kit. So memory wipe, critical hit, stun 01 critical, sleep 01 critical. Memory wipe 02 critical, stun 02 critical, sleep 02 critical. And they already have the pet. And same thing on kit here. Memory wipe 03 critical, stun critical, and sleep 03 critical. And then now we get into all the stat changes. Okay, this is set 3. Copy this down here. Set 2. And sleep's done. Set 1. Okay, so let's get all the sleeps done first. So sleep 1. Oh, hold up. Okay, that's right. Just haven't renamed those files yet. Okay. And And then the next one was stun. Stun. Oh wait. Stun for these. Stun change, stun crit. 1. Oh, hold up. Okay. These are default. These are more standard. So I actually don't need stun. That's something. I'll be here with you in 1 second. All right. So for all these, I don't need a stun stat change because the stuns use standardized. This is why I changed this from a default struct, just implemented right here, into data tables so I can reuse them with other abilities. So I can duplicate this, so the 2 seconds is going to be just a 4-second stun. That's magic. Duration 4. And then the 3-second one is now 6 seconds. And then I think it's the 5-second magic is now. Okay, and then stun. Do 4 seconds magic, and then 6 seconds magic, and 10 seconds magic. Structure with structure, the worst, having an inventory and stun inventory. Yeah. I did so many like experimentations when I was thinking about my inventory, cause like the the best inventory you could have, and I never found out a way to do it through Blueprint. But so obviously, I just have a big, struct, right, for inventories. And so there you have your loot inventory. It's just a struct of structs, or an array of structs. Your quest inventory is the same thing. Your crafting inventory is the same thing. And so I wanted to find a way to basically not use structs, because as you modify a struct, as we all know, as the struct gets bigger, it can start to impact performance a little bit with read writes and stuff. And that's why I made a quest index. And like when you move your loot around your inventory, you're not actually modifying the struct, you're just changing the pointer to where it is, to avoid people just sorting their inventory. It doesn't actually do a bunch of read write changes to your core loot, to your core inventory struct, because that can lead to obviously dupe bugs and things like that. Like you're just trying to avoid a lot of edge cases that are annoyed, and so it just changes the index, and the index shows differently on your inventory type thing. But what is wanted to is almost a system that like you wouldn't want this because it's how obviously Unreal's set up. But like if you could just attach objects to your character, that's it. Each object is like a piece of loot, and then you're reading from those loot things, and then like destroying one doesn't really do anything. But like I went all over the place trying to figure out the best way to do my inventory, and I ended up just going with the basics. All right, let's might as well just keep going setting up the rest of the stuff. So now I have an entire pet I need to change too. So enchanter pet set 1 critical hit. This is like a file management nightmare, but lots of freedom of expression. That's like always the bane of game tech, right? Like the more you make it more powerful, the more complicated it gets and the harder to use it gets. It's such a pain in the ass. And that's like you just look at Unreal in a nutshell. Very powerful what it can do. There's so many damn options. It's so confusing as hell. Okay. So now we get into I want the pet to be the 01 crit. We're going to do like 125 because that was ginormous. And we're probably going to end up changing the sword and shield. 02 crit. Alright, save all. And then so yeah, now I gotta go here and set up all its stuff. So on its stats, the health curve is pet 01 critical hit. Base power curve is fine. And then action manager kit is the 01 critical hit. And then in that kit is the attack critical hit. And then I can rename it as well. Empowered, invisible. I'll do critical. No, empowered. And I did forget to rename these guys. So this guy is going to be a name. Is this the critical hit? Yeah. So empowered, invisible, marauder. And this one name is empowered duelist. This is definitely a skill. Yeah, it's been a long time. I've been doing this a while. It's been a while. Name duelist. All right, so I think I got the first one done. Pet melee attack, so I need to get this one the right. Critical hit, okay. That is in the right place. And threat will just, let's just make another one for like 300. 300. Bam, and this is critical. And so obviously the damage will be kind of higher. So let's just do, you know, like 18 to 18. Okay. That should be the first one done. Oh, well, last thing. I want to change up the sword and shield. Burr, 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 burr. Maybe we go hammer. Go hammer. Can I do a different color? I don't like that. The purple's not bad. We'll go to the purple. Maybe. Let's do purple, whatever. And then I liked where there were some shields here. Maybe we. I'll do that for now. Whatever. I could, be picky about it later. All right. Now we go to here. So change up the stat curve to O2 critical. Then the manager kit O2 critical. I think I did the name already. Yep. Get the kit is next. O2 critical. Stun. Why do I have a... Oh, okay. I'm going to keep... I don't want to stun any more than he already has. I mean, I could technically lower the cooldown. He lives for 6 seconds, so 16 divided by 3 is 5. So let's do like 5. So he gets 1 extra stun or interrupt. That's fine. And then critical. And so it's that ability is the same. This one needs the stat change. Critical there, which we can up the damage by holy crap, I have that way too high. 30 to 40. And then I have this set way too high as base over here on set 2. Nope, that's wrong. Pet. This should not be 24 to 36. It should be 24 to 12. And then the other one is 30 to 16. I think that's everything for 2. I did the stat curve. I think I did the stat curve. Yeah, did the stat curve. Stun, attack, kit, crit, attack curve, damage. And now we just changed the weapon to something else. Let's do like a giant mace. And that guy's good. And then we will go last one. Stat health curve. 03 crit. Then we go to manager. 03 crit. Save. I think I did the name already. I'll open that up. Name. Yep. And then O3 crit. O3 crit. These ones do the same. Oh wait, that's not the right one. It's that one. And then we'll increase this to, I guess, 20. This is also way off. 20 plus 10. I think those ones are good. I gotta set the different weapons. Let's go. These guys. Kind of cool. And then maybe a different color. Let's see what colors we have. To be honest, the base ones are kind of like too epic looking. So I'll change that in the future, but good enough. All right, so I think that's everything. Let's take a look. I know, checklist widget, right? All right, so Q. Technically, everything has a crit now. But we're mainly testing pets. So there he is. And it's empowered invisible duelist. He's hitting harder now. Oh. I would have to sit, rotate, enemy steal. And now it's different. Sword and shield. And boom, empowered invisible marauder. Pretty cool, right? I know. And then if we cast the normal one. And now I should be able to also if I go to all of these pets, pet, pet, set 2, set 3. I should be able to change up the name now. So on UI, Do animate steel. So this is the tier 1 warrior. Marauder. Hold on, T. And duelist. Make sure this is all working. So we start casting. Animate steel warrior. Animate steel marauder. Duelist. And then same thing. Pet, pet, pet. Do warrior. Empowered. It probably sounds, it's a little bit more dramatic if we do empowered warrior. Marauder. Animate steel. Empowered duelist. Alright, I'll be right back 1 second. Okay. And so now we can start doing, let me make sure the crit ones work as well. They might not, but hopefully they do. Okay, so gotta cast a bunch. Q, R, Q, Q, Q. Alright, so the name's not coming through for crits. Let me double check. Start client, cast bar is pulling from action current. And then we set this where again? On this, okay, we set this where? Action start server. Thinking. What am I missing? Alright, come in here. Pressed. Key press current. Casting state, yada yada yada. Helper state. It's false. Get action player. So why is this not coming back to what I want? Action player. Alright, I did not implement this with crypt. Okay. And then this over here. Alright, now we should have the different name when we cast a crit. Okay, Q, R, Q, E, empowered duelist, boom. I'm going to take the invisible out of these names. It's too long. And it was a little, I said the invisible thing because it was derivative of EverQuest Enchanter Pets. But I'm kind of like, now I'm delineating away from what EverQuest was and starting to make my own. And I'm just considering them magically enchanted pets instead of invisible warriors. So let's go enchanted. Enchanted warrior. Let's start with that. Enchanted marauder. Enchanted duelist. And then instead of enchanted, we'll do empowered. we don't have to have the name too like different, because there's an actual visual difference. And so the next thing is a difference in the feel. So now we're going to go on the pet ones. Wrong folder. Rotation 1, 2, and 3. Let's go pet. So we're going to change the cast time up a little bit here. So appearance on the first one, we like 1.5. The second one, let's make it 1. 1, 2, then 1 dot. Then 2. And then maybe 4? 4 seconds seems like a long casting time. Maybe 2.5 and 1.5. 1, 1.5, 2.5. And that's just the base ones. All right, I'm not testing these. Really, these are not. Oh, I haven't set these to use crit yet. But this one should now be a little bit longer. So, yeah. And then this one should be a little bit faster. Yeah. And now we're going to need some corresponding animation tweaks. But hey, we're getting there. It's looking pretty cool. So the enchanter now has 6 different pets, technically. So the enchanter, literally the enchanter you made up. Yeah. You can do a lot when all your systems are in place, you know. It goes a long way. It really does. But yeah, the enchanter now literally has 6 different pets. It's kind of crazy. And I think that's like kind of actually dope as hell, you know. 3 different pets and then 3 different crit pets. Like that is like some really cool decision making that you can do. I have to do some math and stuff. I'll be you want once more. Yeah, I'm definitely having goals this month to have 8 abilities for each class, which of course leads into like 24 abilities, but some may or may not have like the full rotation kits and stuff. But all right, so I need to do the quick on all of the other abilities. Let's do first up sleep. And then stun. And then Miz. Oh, I did sleep already. Okay. Memory blur. Okay, so all of those should now reset crit. Cast that, this. Am I getting my crit? Did I put on the wrong ones? I'm not getting crit anymore. I put it on the wrong ones. What? Oh, did I? Memory blur, crit. What? These aren't set to reset the critical. Stun, sleep, pet, wipe. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, those one. Wait, what? Hold on. Okay. Why is this triggering all of a sudden? Input. Add breakpoint. Okay, so I'm getting critical hit and I'm turning it off automatically. In the current order of events. Okay, let me think. It might just be really easy. Action spawn. Am I doing crit? Where am I doing the crit count? So here's the spawn. Where am I counting crit? Action auto. Oh. It's happening in the extension part. Extension. So I think I can actually just, there's no reason I can't just move this, luckily, to right here. And then we're Gucci. Because that has no change. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. And then big miss. And crit's gone. And then big stun. Crit gone. And Q. It's gone. Alright. Cool. Everything has crit. And obviously these ones are just kind of like better versions. But I've successfully implemented crit for the enchanter. I have to help my kiddo again. BRB. Okay. All right, so now the enchanter is almost done for this pass. Let's do some math. Let me quickly update this a little bit. And then also going back to the critical stuff, I want a little bit more weighted feel to when you have a crit. So we're going to take we're going to increase the cast time on the crit stuff. I'm going to start by doubling it. I guess not doubling. Oh, I didn't update these casts. So this was 1, so now it's 2. And then this was 1.5. Oh, this is the mesmerize. Okay. All right, let me stick to pets first. And then this is pet 2, which is now supposed to be 3. And this is now 4. So now it's a 4-second cast to bring him up. So you kind of really feel it. Alright, so that's the cast time on those. Get to animation soon. Yeah, I really want the R, like, so that was an R3 crit. And so I want, you know, the R3s to always feel like they're a little bit longer. So you have to kind of be tied down a little bit to cast them. Whereas R1s are more kind of fast and efficient. So I'm really trying to instill the gameplay feel of that. Alright, so now I need to decide on cast times for memory wipe. Memory wipe. Alright, so these are the criticals. That over there. So the first one, I'm going to do the cooldown to like 3 seconds on everything. Because it's a little bit too spammy. And it's honestly like it baits you a little bit because sometimes you actually run out of mana from just trying to memory blur. Now it shouldn't happen now because I buffed memory blur like crazy, but even honestly, I think I just need to do 5-second cooldown because I've buffed it like crazy. Okay, 5-second cooldown. And now I can start doing R1. Okay. And then cast time here. We're going to do 1 second. 1.5 and 3. And then over here. This is R1. Empowered. Oh, this is R2. And this one's going to be 3 seconds. I guess memory wipe maybe we'll do 1. Because 6 seconds would obviously be too long of a cast. Technically not, because an R3 crit is going to be like, you are never getting threat back ever again. So it's kind of choices, right? I'll just stick with it and see what happens. This is 3. Still go to 6. 2. Wait, never mind. That was just R3. And 3. And then over here is, let me put this in order to help my brain. R1 empowered is a 2-second cast. This is R2 empowered, 3-second cast. And R3 empowered, which is a 6-second cast. And then we will do threat remove, quite literally. Duplicate this. Now I'm doing 2000 at the moment, but I'm still might do a few different memory blur type things. And then this one is now 1,000, and this one's now 500. Okay. R1. It's fast. R2 slowing down. And R3 much slower. And now a 6-second mem blur. And that's supposed to be like, you pretty much forgot about me. 3-second cast. And 1-second cast. Okay. Well, that's like 2 seconds. But yeah, it's working. And now, because I did a bunch of changes to how much it does, I can increase the mana cost. I might do like 15 mana cost now. Just make sure these are all set to the same. Okay, this is memory. Memblur. All right, save all. And so now, if you do use that critical that R3 Memblur, it's like 30 mana. So there's a great cost to it. Okay, on to stun. All these. And so let's go for the cast time. We'll do the 1 second. And what is my resource set to? I'll keep it at 10. 2 seconds. And this one at 3. All right, and what I have the cooldown? I do have a long cooldown on this. It's fine. And then I can do the same here. And this one is 6 seconds, 3 seconds, and 2 seconds. I think I did this to 1.5. Okay, this is supposed to be 1.5, I think. And then Memblur. Yeah, 1.5. Okay. And then did I actually set the right? That's correct. Stun. This is stun. I don't know why that got deleted. R3 empowered. Are these set properly? 4 seconds, 6 seconds, 10 seconds. Alright, so I think my base abilities are done. The next one is the enchantments. But this is also going to take some custom integrations for code. And I'll work on animations at the end, because I kind of have a lot of fun with that. Oh, mesmerize. I did not do mesmerize. Mes, sleep. R1, 1 second. I'm just doing some kind of cookie cutter cast times right now for game feel, and I might adjust a little bit later on. 2 seconds. R3 is 3 seconds. I guess I'll do 2 seconds is good. And let's press R3. Alright. And I think I did the cost at 5. That might be too cheap. I think I'm going to up it to 10. And I am actually going to be buffing the durations for these, so 10 makes more sense now. And then, so stat change, sleeps. This one is going to be a duration of 20. Then 40. And then 60. Actually, that's going a little bit too, that's going up too crazy. 15. 25. 50. And then stat on these ones, I need to do all of these. So, this is sleep. R1 empowered. 2 seconds. Sleep, crit. Sleep, crit. 0-1. Okay, those are set, right? Okay. R2 empowered. And this is a 4-second cast. And I'll do those shortly. And this is again like a 6-second cast, I think. And I gotta make sure all the mana costs got increased. Yeah, mana cost is 10. Okay. And then finally the sleep stat changes here. It was 30 now, and then 50, and the gigamez, 50 times 2. Okay. Yeah. So that was sleep. So 1, then a little slower, then much slower. And then giga slower. But yeah, we're layering everything in, and eventually I can have some better UI UX for even like I don't have to type out R3. I could have like different colored bars for like R1, R2, R3, or some other representation for the cast bar being what position your ruins are at as well, and that'd be good. Additional like peripheral vision information to understand what you're casting. All right, so the next thing that would be great if I could finish tonight, but I don't think I'd be able to. Let me also note some of these things. So, mana cost. No, not mana cost. Sneeze again. It left me. Cast time increases with rotation ruins. Cast time increases further with critical cast. Powered pets have a new look. Enchanter now has essentially 6 pets on one button. That's crazy. That is nutty. 6 pets on 1 button. That's nutty. Like that's like the cool part about the system and how intricate it's going to get. And then you'd like combine different like augments from your gear, different spells you want to get, how they can, how you can be able to swap them in and out. It's gonna be so cool. Opening myself up for a lot of depth with builds. It is 1 in the morning. I was hoping to get the enchanter done today, but too many fatherly duties got in the way. Critical hit. Yep, that's done. That is something I will also have to do. I'd finish this. The enchanter's going to be so fun after this. Holy moly. It's going to be so much fun. Especially with the proc stuff. Yeah, these two here are going to be tomorrow's duties. I mean, all of this is going to be tomorrow's stuff. Because we have to, it's going to be it's a weird mess because in my current system for vertical third, equipment can give you passives. Actually, I think I might actually have it so you can have a spell give you a passive. But I might it's going to take some layering to actually get it to not the damage. Like for again, talking about procs, I want the enchanter to be able to see the effects of their procs, and so I'm going to have a weird addition to enable the enchanter to see the stuff happening to a different target. And for whatever that happens to it, the enchanter is still the owner of it, type thing. So that's going to take a bit of thinking, just kind of like how I'd have to do with the critical hit stuff. And then once I finish the code part of everything, that's when I'm going to get into animations and stuff. And see what else we can do there. Empowered Marauder. Boom. 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 I should probably buff the duration of the empowered pets slightly. like 20 seconds maybe. Yeah, honestly, pretty dope. I'm gonna see if there's anything else for like easy wins to do on. So we have our level 1 pet, or our R1 pet, I should say. Then the R2. R3. And so hopefully I've toned some of the damage properly. They still seem like they're hitting too hard. I think I've fixed the crit ones, but not these ones. Yeah, it's supposed to be 16 to 8. 16 to 24 is what it's trying to do, I believe. Or maybe it was 16 to 16, for a total of 32. And that's the, yeah, pet's damage. Okay. Offhand, main hand. Okay. And so we'll also get into things like maybe I do an area effect stun on R3 instead of a single target stun. An area effect mez on R3 instead of a single mez. Or maybe only the crit mezes are area effect. There could be a lot of things we start playing with. And then the memory wipe, it'd be nice that I could target an ally. I can target an ally, and then it'll reduce my ally target's threat to my enemy target's threat. If I did that, I'd have to probably set it to group only. Or like, I have to find a way to prevent the tank from being, like, getting that, prevent the team from trolling the tank or something. Keep aggro, bro, as you remove his threat from the target. Yeah, testing is the fun part, yeah. I mean, like it works perfectly, right? Oh, I can select an ally target. I have an enemy target. I cast Memory Blur on like R2, and then, you know, if the healer has aggro, then I can take his aggro away. You know, Memory Blur type thing, based on my ally target to the main target. And that is like, that's a cool mechanic. Because again, a lot of times as an enchanter, you're kind of support oriented. You're a bit of an observer to what's going on with everything. You're trying to make sure you keep things mezzed, keep people buffed, and so being able to watch that is cool. But you could totally troll. You could troll so many people. You could troll people so hard by removing their threat in a raid, in a dungeon. Like, I'll put it in obviously because it's just a cool mechanic, but I'll have to find some way of doing limitations. Did a really good job of that when we played. Really showed the strength of the class to mob control. Absolutely, yeah. Crowd control is like, again, it's one of the. That's kind of why I started with Enchanter, because it's such a staple class. Again, we're not a Trinity, right? We're like a 5. There's like 5 archetypes, right? There's DPS, tank, healer, support, crowd controller, and then puller. That's like what makes up a group, pretty much. And technically, a puller can be one of those other 4, technically, but sometimes you still want a DPS pulling for you type thing. And they have specific skill sets that allow them to pull properly. And the most common example in EverQuest meta is the monk and being able to feign death. But yeah, enchant weapon. Like I love the thematics of this too. Just like animate steel, you're making weapons come to life. I'll probably go to town on this a little bit more too. Like I might make a caster weapon, a staff that casts fireballs or something. That would be really cool. I don't want to get into healer stuff. I don't want anything healing on the enchanter. But you could get into some really, really cool pets here that seem very unique. And so maybe all the critical ones are ranged based. So I could have a staff, an archer, and something else. I don't know. But yeah, we're getting into like a lot of it's one of those things you gotta like find those bones and structures of your combat system, and like once you figure that out, then you can really dive into your classes. And I feel like as of last month we're at that point. And I like that every class has their own little ruins now too. So there's some thematics there. And really trying to figure those out. And obviously we'll change them as we create some actual like lore and stuff around each class. They'll change a lot to be much more specific to that class. But yeah, I'm really trying to sell the combat now and the class. Sell the combat and like just be that really unique system. I'm really trying to double down and like polish. That's why I kind of polished up the Registry Chronicles as well. There might be some things I get to do on this, but I'm kind of putting it off to the side for the most part. Because I would love to. The main thing I wanted to do here is like give everyone some sort of like undead killing ability or animal killing ability. Give the varying animal, undead, elemental, insect like bonus abilities that you would get from this. Because I think in the end, these archetype ones I might not do XP on, and only the direct defeats do XP on. Bosses obviously will also give stuff that might not be XP related. I did buff boss XP, so you get like 4 or 5 times boss XP just for killing them. And that was last patch. So you already get bonus XP for them. And so trying to diversify rewards to kind of portray what the potential is. I'm very tempted to just do a faction-based crafting system where you do different things for vendors. Like you increase your, instead of like making someone do really stupid repetitive skill up stuff, make them like gather a bunch of stuff and just turn it in, instead of them having to craft and destroy, you know, 5,000 things. And then you kind of have a faction with like the Blacksmith's Guild. And then you go collect the stuff and come back and craft it. I was fighting elementals and one got stuck running back to spawn. It kept healing itself when I took damage. Yeah, so I've kind of I intentionally, so normally in a obviously leash based system, things go immune, they run back to their spot, they become unimmune. And so I had a bug with that, so I disabled the immunity, and I've integrated a, you know, slash respawn command for me and GMs. So if something did become immune, I could just destroy it. But long story short, there's a bug. It's a bug. I need some like redundancy of like if it takes too long to, if reset has happened for X amount of time to, you know, set it back to normal. Yeah. I have like a backlog of stuff, right? So this is my playtest notes from this last playtest, right? A lot of it is around class design stuff, but also has bugs and things. But then I have the big to-do list. This is everything that like doesn't get in. Every time I'm like, okay, this is this is what I need to fix for next playtest, right? And so all the top priority things come here, and a lot of time it is about fixing bugs, because I want to have that. I've mentioned it several times. I want to be a polished game, and there's a lot of indie MMOs that kind of get shit on because their polish isn't where it needs to be, and their player accounts kind of show because of it. So I'd rather have less content and more polish. So when bugs come up, like there's all these bugs here, I try and tackle a lot of those. And playtesting, the loop with playtesting, right, is all the bad stuff like floats to the top, and you fix those, and like more stuff starts floating to the top, and so you kind of like keep knocking those out. As soon as you fix bugs, you kind of peel your eyes open to other bugs that show up. But yeah, then there's all this like backlog of stuff here that needs to get fixed as well. And like, you know, other systems, more bugs, you know, other features, other data work, just random other ideas. And then there's like my tool development stuff. You know, I need to build a better cave, you know, thing. More tools like the one I showed you earlier. Oh, I did do this. Ha! Gone. So speaking of which, what are some, do I have any easy wins here? May have reproduced on first play in editor at first boot up of engine. Yeah, these are all related here. Alright, so yeah. I think I might just call it quits for tonight. I'm kind of focusing on classes at the moment, because that is just what making me excited right now. And I want to work on exciting things. I also have like a little bit of limitations. I want to work on a separate project as well this month. Mage. Alright, so yeah. I'm going to focus the enchanter, get abilities for each spell and crit spell. AoE Memblur, AoE Stun, AoE Mez, rotations. Yeah, you too, Jestra. Thanks for hanging out. So I'm heading out, people. If you didn't know, I'm making an indie MMO. It's called Ruins of Tearyn. You can, I playtest once a month at the end of the month. You can go to our YouTube channel here, Ruins of Tearyn, get a little bit of overview of combat, why we're on the Epic Games Store. I have a tech stack if you're interested in game developer stuff on how we're building the indie MMO as, a possible thing, utilizing existing technology. Mostly the TLDR on that is using Unreal Engine. Vertical Third, which is our own tech that we make and sell on Fab.com. It took us 3 years to build Vertical Third. We got $100,000 in rewards for it through the Epic Mega Grant program, and we're using that. While we were building it, we were clearly in the mindset of trying to build an MMO, and so now we're using that product, Vertical Third, to build our indie MMO, Ruins of Tearyn. We've done tons of playtests, I think over 10 playtests. We started the project the end of 2024, so a little over a year and a half, and we have an online playable prototype, or vertical slice. Experienced lots of, some of our playtesters have played for 10 plus hours at this point on a single class. There's 6 classes. We actually also went on the, so let me toss these links in the chat. Some of these links are below as well, but we also went on the Unreal Engine official live stream with an overview as well. And it's right here. It's creating classic MMO mechanics in Unreal. Ignore the annoying ad. So you can watch that. This is a very, broad overview. Some things are a little bit outdated, but as far as like some of the systems we've implemented, our core features that kind of make it stand out is our kind of like slow-paced rotation ruin combat system, which kind of explained here. I also have some shorts on it as well, but our core 3 things right now is our combat system, which is rotation ruins, and is trying to prevent you from having to button mash abilities, and instead, very strategically think about what you have to do, what you're going to use next, and be a bit more slower paced. And we don't want AoE grinding as well. We want everything to be single target focused, and you have a crowd controller that basically you have 5 things in the camp. 4 of them are going to get crowd controlled. You're going to take as a user group, we're going to take down 1 at a time. Then we have we're trying to basically, we don't like quest hubs, so we're going to merge questing and achievements together. And so instead of going out and getting a stupid, collect quest, kill quest, whatever, you can just go out and do those things, and you get rewards for doing it. And here's the examples of, hey, you killed 10 boars, you get some XP, whatever. You kill a bunch of animals, boom, bonus XP, And you have a lot of that for different explorations and stuff like that. And this is going to get more and more out there. There will be quests later on in the game that are more like thought out, fun to do quests, and not just throwaway quests. On top of that, we have our map system, which is kind of it's our camp system. It's also explained in a short here as well, if you want the shorter version. But basically, there's camps all around each kind of level. Each of them has rare boss spawns and specific loot that you can go and farm for your class or someone else's classes to help them. And you can just sit there and grind monsters and enjoy your grind. And while you're grinding, you also get, obviously, your progress towards Registry Chronicles. Registry Chronicles is also supposed to be like a personalized loot for your class. Right now it's just experience, but in the future it'll be changed. So if you go and kill, 1,000 undead, you're probably going to get a, nuke undead spell as a cleric, that type of thing. But as you farm stuff, as you farm bosses and things, you can also get crystals, and those crystals, if we go to our crafting here, basically let you increase the camp levels of everything. And so maybe this is a level. All of these camps here are level 10s to 14, but if you camp there long enough, get enough essence and crystals, you can increase it to 11 to 15, to 12 to 16, to 13 to 17, and there's going to be cutoff points that actually give them increased loot, better experience, all these things. And the lower levels a monster is compared to you, they give less loot, less experience. So by raising levels, you're making sure the kill XP is good, and then you're giving them into other brackets. And then in the future, when names spawned here at certain cutoff points, if they're like a +3 name spawned, they're going to be a fabled spawn of that named, and they're going to drop better loot as well. And so that's kind of like the very quick rundown of what Ruins of Tearyn is and how it's going, and the 3 core systems right now that make us very unique. And we're a team of 2, pushing forward with a background in game tech and awards from Epic Games. We used to work for Epic Games as well. We created the Coursera Epic Games project or certificate courses 5 through 8, and so we take you through a bunch of stuff in that course. It's free to use. Ignore the weird start date. You can start anytime. We don't get any type of kickbacks at all from it. This is my very long-winded outro. So if you're interested in trying it out, hang out at the end of the month. Join our Discord. And I think the next one's the 28th of May to the 31st. So the Thursday to the Sunday. So keep an eye out for us around that time. Bring as many friends as you want. We are continually trying to stress test our servers, as we still have not hit any type of cap. So we're trying to always get more people to push those limits. Thank you for watching, and I'll check you out next time.